Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest when the doorbell rings unexpectedly? That sense of invasion when someone, even a close friend, enters your personal space? It's no coincidence. This aversion hides a profound mystery about your soul. What does this discomfort truly mean? In Jung's analytical psychology, personal spaces can be understood as symbolic manifestations of our inner world, reflections of the psyche where our conscious and unconscious meet. What are you really protecting when you don't want visitors? The answer goes far beyond simple introversion or desire for privacy. In fact, this resistance may reveal transformative aspects about archetypes, shadows, and individuation that shape your true self. Prepare yourself for a journey to the center of your psyche, where you'll discover why this territorial invasion stirs your deepest emotions so profoundly. Your home is more than just walls and furniture. Think about how you feel when you cross your threshold after a long day, that sigh of relief, that sense of safety. This feeling isn't random. From a Jungian perspective, your living space represents something deeply significant about who you are. Jung developed the concept of the temenos, a sacred protected space where psychological work and transformation happen. While he didn't specifically apply this to modern homes, the parallel is striking. The way you arrange your furniture, the colors you choose, even the mess you allow to accumulate, all reveal aspects of your inner landscape. That bookshelf meticulously organized? Perhaps it reflects your need for outer order to create inner calm. The room you've left half-finished for months? It might represent an aspect of yourself you're hesitant to complete or acknowledge. In Jungian psychology, symbols carry powerful meaning beyond their physical appearance. They bridge the conscious and unconscious mind. Your home functions similarly. It's both a physical shelter and a psychological boundary between your inner world and the outside. The entrance to your home particularly holds symbolic weight. It's the threshold between public and private, the known and the unknown, the collective and the individual. When someone knocks on that door unexpectedly, they're not just requesting entry to a physical structure, they're asking to cross a psychological boundary you've established. This is why the intrusion feels so jarring. It's not merely about the interruption to your schedule or having to clean up quickly. It's about someone penetrating a boundary that helps define where you end and the world begins. Jung observed that modern humans often struggle with boundaries. Unlike our ancestors who had clear rituals and physical separations between sacred and profane spaces, we live in a world of blurred lines. Our phones bring the outside world into our most intimate spaces. Work follows us home. The psychological protection that clear boundaries provide has eroded. This makes your home even more precious, as one of the few spaces where you can still exercise control over who enters and when. When you feel that wave of annoyance at an unexpected visitor, you're experiencing an ancient, primal reaction to a boundary crossing. Your unconscious recognizes something your conscious mind might dismiss as mere inconvenience. The arrangement of your living space often reflects your internal psychological arrangement too. A cluttered home might reveal a mind struggling to organize thoughts. A space where everything must be perfect might indicate rigid defenses against chaos. The room you feel most comfortable in might represent the aspects of yourself you've most fully accepted. Jung believed we project parts of ourselves onto our surroundings. The neighbor's dog that irritates you might represent an unacknowledged wild aspect of yourself. Similarly, the parts of your home you're embarrassed to show visitors often contain projections of your shadow, the aspects of yourself you prefer to keep hidden. This is why having someone enter unexpectedly feels so exposing. It's not just that they might see unwashed dishes or unfolded laundry. On a deeper level, you fear they might glimpse parts of yourself you're not ready to reveal. The home becomes not just a physical space, but a metaphorical container for aspects of your psyche, Understanding this connection helps explain that instinctive resistance you feel. It's not rudeness or antisocial behavior. It's a natural protective response to guard the container of your developing self. Just as a butterfly needs the protected space of a chrysalis to transform, your psyche requires protected space to integrate and individuate, a core concept in Jungian psychology referring to the process of becoming your full, authentic self. Next time you feel that resistance to a doorbell's ring, recognize it as something meaningful, a guardian impulse protecting the sacred space where your true self can emerge and evolve. That instinctive tension you feel when someone approaches your door connects directly to what Jung called the persona and its opposite, your authentic inner life. The persona is the mask we wear in public, while our homes often become the one place we can let that mask slip away. This creates a profound boundary that feels essential to protect. Jung identified archetypes, universal patterns in the collective unconscious that appear across all cultures and times. One such archetype is the guardian or protector, which manifests when something valuable needs defense. When you feel that surge of resistance to visitors, you're experiencing this guardian archetype activating within you. It's not personal against your visitors, it's archetypal. This guardian energy serves a crucial purpose. In Jungian terms, the home represents a potential space for individuation, the lifelong journey toward becoming your complete, integrated self. This process requires periods of reflection, solitude, and freedom from the expectations of others. Unexpected visitors interrupt this sacred work, which explains the disproportionate frustration you might feel at what seems like a minor intrusion. Consider what happens physiologically when your doorbell rings without warning. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, you might feel a flash of irritation or even anger. These reactions mirror ancient survival responses, your nervous system treating the social intrusion as a potential threat. This isn't an overreaction. It's your psyche recognizing that something important is at stake. In today's hyper-connected world, where work emails follow you everywhere and social media broadcasts constant demands for attention, your home represents one of the last boundaries you can maintain. Jung didn't live in our digital age, but his insights about the importance of boundaries between different aspects of life are even more relevant now. The always available culture erodes the psychological containers necessary for wholeness. Jung wrote extensively about the significance of thresholds and transitions. Doors and entryways have appeared as powerful symbols in dreams, myths, and fairy tales across cultures. They represent points of transformation, where one state of being changes into another. When you cross your own threshold, you transition from your public self to your private self, a mini ritual of transformation that happens daily. This explains why having someone else cross that threshold uninvited feels so jarring. It forces an unplanned shift between different states of being. You must hastily reassemble your public persona when you might have been deep in the territory of your authentic self. This sudden shift creates psychological friction. Jung observed that many psychological problems arise from conflicts between different aspects of the psyche. When your need for solitude and authenticity clashes with social expectations of hospitality and availability, you experience this classic Jungian conflict firsthand. The tension isn't just about inconvenience, it's about competing psychological needs. The introvert-extrovert distinction Jung pioneered also plays a role here. While everyone needs some balance between social connection and solitude, introverts particularly require protected space to recharge their energy. Their boundary keeping isn't rudeness, but a necessary energy management strategy. Jung himself valued his solitude greatly, spending time at his tower in Bollingen where visitors were strictly limited. Your home can serve as what Jung might call a container for psychological growth. Alchemists needed sealed vessels for transformation to occur. Similarly, your psyche needs protected space to integrate experiences and evolve. When that container is breached unexpectedly, the transformative process is interrupted. Understanding this dynamic helps transform guilt into wisdom. Many people feel bad about their reluctance to welcome unexpected visitors, seeing it as selfishness. From a Jungian perspective, this boundary keeping is actually essential self-care and psychological stewardship. It's protecting the conditions necessary for your fullest development. The guardian at your threshold isn't something to overcome or dismiss. It's a valuable part of your psyche that recognizes the sacred nature of your inner work. By honoring this guardian energy rather than fighting it, you acknowledge the importance of the psychological territory it protects. This doesn't mean never allowing anyone in. It means creating intentional rather than reactive entrances into your space. If you feel ready to dive deeper into your own mind and balance both your light and shadow, explore the Sim Method ebook. It's a practical guide that helps you awaken your inner strength in just 5 minutes a day. The link is waiting for you in the first pinned comment. The discomfort you feel when unexpected visitors arrive connects directly to what Jung called the shadow. Those parts of ourselves we prefer not to acknowledge. Your home often contains physical manifestations of these hidden aspects. The closet you never let anyone open. The drawer filled with unsorted papers. The room that's perpetually being reorganized. These spaces hold more than just physical disorder. They contain aspects of yourself you're not ready to integrate or show others. Jung believed that the shadow isn't necessarily negative. It simply contains what we've pushed away from conscious awareness. Sometimes these are indeed darker emotions like anger or jealousy, but often they're simply vulnerable, unfinished, or authentic parts of ourselves that don't fit with how we want to be seen. Your messy kitchen isn't just a cleaning task undone. It might represent your unresolved relationship with nourishment, care, or abundance. When someone enters your space unexpectedly, panic often follows. But what exactly are you afraid they'll see? Beyond physical disorder, you worry they might glimpse the unfiltered you, the you that doesn't match the image you present elsewhere. Jung would suggest this fear reveals where you haven't fully accepted yourself. The parts of your home you rush to hide before visitors arrive symbolize the parts of your personality you're still hiding from the world, or even from yourself. Consider how you prepare when you know someone is coming over. You might hide certain objects, clean specific areas, or even rearrange furniture. This isn't just about cleanliness. It's a ritual of concealment that reveals what you consider acceptable or unacceptable about yourself. The items you hide fastest tell a story about your deepest insecurities. Jung observed that what we most strongly reject in others often represents our own disowned qualities, a process he called projection. When you worry about being judged for your messy bookshelf or dusty surfaces, you're often projecting your own inner critic onto your visitors. You assume they'll see what you see and judge as harshly as you judge yourself. This projection creates additional tension during unexpected visits. The fear of judgment runs deeper than concerns about housekeeping standards. At its core, it's fear of rejection for who you really are. Jung emphasized that becoming whole requires reclaiming these disowned parts. Ironically, the anxiety around visitors spotlights exactly the integration work that needs attention. The aspects of your home you're most embarrassed about may point directly to the psychological work awaiting you. Think about what specifically triggers your anxiety when someone arrives unannounced. Is it the physical disorder, the interruption of your routine, the sudden need to shift into host mode? Each fear reveals something different about your psychology. Fear of being seen as messy might connect to perfectionist tendencies. Fear of interruption might indicate difficulty with boundaries. Fear of hosting might suggest struggles with authenticity in relationships. Jung believed meaningful coincidences, what he called synchronicities, often bring important insights. Perhaps unexpected visitors arrive precisely when you're grappling with certain issues, offering opportunities to face specific fears. The visitor who arrives when your house is at its messiest challenges your perfectionism. The neighbor who drops by during your rare moment of relaxation tests your boundary-setting abilities. The most transformative approach involves examining what Jung called the projection hook. What is it about unexpected visits that captures so much emotional energy? The intensity of your reaction often signals something important. Minor annoyances don't produce knots in your stomach or racing thoughts. Your strong reaction indicates something valuable is at stake. Jung suggested that bringing shadow material into consciousness reduces its power over us. By recognizing the specific fears triggered by unexpected visitors, you begin integrating these disowned aspects. Instead of being controlled by anxiety when the doorbell rings, you might notice, there's my fear of being seen as imperfect again. This awareness creates space between stimulus and response. This doesn't mean you must suddenly welcome all unannounced visitors with open arms. Jung valued appropriate boundaries. But understanding the psychological dynamics at play helps transform reflexive panic into conscious choice. You might still prefer scheduled visits, but from preference rather than fear. What visitors potentially witness isn't just your physical space, but glimpses of your authentic self, the self that exists when no one is watching. This authenticity, which Jung saw as essential to psychological health, feels vulnerable to exposure during unexpected visits. The fear isn't just about judgment of your housekeeping, it's about judgment of your unguarded self. That need for privacy and space isn't just about being antisocial. It connects directly to what Jung identified as introversion, a normal and valuable psychological orientation. Jung was among the first to recognize that some people naturally direct their energy inward rather than outward. For introverts especially, having control over when and how social interaction occurs isn't a preference. It's a necessity for psychological well-being. But Jung made an important distinction between healthy introversion and problematic isolation. Healthy introversion involves periodically turning inward to reconnect with yourself, process experiences, and recharge. Isolation, by contrast, stems from fear and avoidance. The difference lies not in the behavior, but in the motivation behind it. Are you seeking solitude to nurture your inner life, or are you hiding from connection because of past wounds? Jung observed that modern society tends to value extroverted qualities, outgoingness, sociability, and constant activity. This creates what he might call a collective shadow around introversion, where natural needs for solitude become sources of shame. Many people feel guilty about wanting privacy, as if something is wrong with them for not constantly welcoming company. This collective attitude makes it harder to honor your genuine need for protected space. Consider how you feel after different kinds of social interaction. Meaningful connection with people who truly see and accept you often feels energizing, even for introverts. Performative socializing with those who know only your persona typically feels depleting. Your resistance to unexpected visitors might not be about avoiding people altogether. It might be about avoiding the exhausting performance when you haven't had time to prepare. Jung emphasized the importance of the inner journey, what he called going into the desert. This metaphorical desert represents time away from collective expectations and social masks. It's where authentic transformation happens. Your home ideally provides this desert space in modern life, somewhere you can shed external demands and reconnect with your deeper self. Unexpected visitors interrupt this crucial inner work. The need for control over your environment isn't selfish. It's a fundamental aspect of psychological safety. Jung recognized that feeling secure in your boundaries supports exploration of the psyche. When you can reliably predict who enters your space and when, you create conditions where vulnerability and growth become possible. Unexpected intrusions disrupt this container of safety. Many spiritual traditions worldwide include practices of periodic withdrawal and solitude. Monastics take vows of silence. Spiritual seekers go on solo retreats. Vision quests involve isolation in nature. Jung studied these traditions extensively and recognized their psychological wisdom. Your need for uninterrupted time at home follows this ancient understanding that certain inner processes require protected space. The digital age has eroded many traditional boundaries between public and private life. Work emails reach you at all hours. Social media creates constant accessibility. Jung didn't experience these specific modern challenges, but his work on psychological boundaries anticipates them. Your resistance to unexpected physical visitors might intensify precisely because so many other boundaries have already fallen. Jung believed in the importance of rhythm, alternating periods of engagement and withdrawal. Just as nature cycles through seasons, healthy psychological life involves times of connection and times of reflection. Unexpected visitors disrupt this natural rhythm, demanding social energy during potential restoration time. Your annoyance signals recognition that this rhythm has been interrupted. Consider how different cultures approach home and visiting. Some traditions require advance notice before visiting. Others consider spontaneous visits normal and welcome. Jung recognized that cultural patterns shape our expectations, creating either alignment or conflict with our individual needs. Your personal comfort with unexpected visitors depends partly on the cultural patterns you've internalized about home, privacy, and social obligations. The key distinction isn't between enjoying or disliking company. It's about agency and choice. Jung emphasized the importance of conscious decisions rather than compulsive reactions. When you can choose when to welcome others into your space, you maintain psychological sovereignty. Unexpected visits remove this choice, triggering resistance not to the visitors themselves, but to the loss of agency they represent. Understanding these dynamics helps transform guilt into self-knowledge. Instead of judging your need for privacy, you might recognize it as essential self-care. This doesn't mean rejecting connection. Rather, it means creating intentional connection that honors both your social needs and your needs for restoration and inner work. Deep inside your mind, two powerful forces clash when your doorbell rings unexpectedly. Jung identified these as archetypes, universal patterns that appear across all cultures throughout human history. On one side stands the host archetype, representing generosity, connection, and the sacred tradition of welcoming strangers. On the other side stands the guardian archetype we explored earlier, protecting your sacred inner territory. This inner conflict explains why unexpected visits create such complex emotions. The host archetype appears in myths and stories worldwide. Ancient Greeks believed Zeus sometimes disguised himself as a traveler to test people's hospitality. Norse legends tell of Odin wandering disguised among humans. Virtually every spiritual tradition contains some version of the stranger might be an angel in disguise. Jung recognized these recurring patterns as expressions of the collective unconscious, shared psychological structures that transcend individual experience. When someone arrives unannounced, part of you feels the pull of this ancient archetype. A voice whispers that turning away a visitor violates something sacred about human connection. This explains the guilt that often follows refusing someone entry to your home. It's not just social conditioning, it's the activation of an archetypal pattern that runs deeper than modern etiquette. But opposing this stands the equally powerful guardian archetype. This protective energy recognizes your need for boundaries, safety, and control over your environment. Jung saw all archetypes as having both positive and negative expressions. The guardian at its best protects what's truly valuable. At its extreme, it becomes paranoid isolation. The host at its best creates genuine connection. At its extreme, it sacrifices genuine needs for approval. The tension between these archetypes creates what Jung called the tension of opposites, a necessary psychological conflict that potentially leads to growth. Rather than choosing one archetype over the other, Jung would suggest integrating both energies. This means neither automatically welcoming everyone, nor reflexively shutting everyone out, but making conscious choices based on your authentic needs in each moment. Cultural expectations complicate this archetypal conflict. Different societies place different emphasis on hospitality versus privacy. Some cultures consider unexpected visiting normal and welcome. Others require advance notice. Jung recognized that we inherit cultural attitudes that shape how we express universal archetypes. Your personal reaction to unexpected visitors is influenced by both universal patterns and specific cultural conditioning. Technology has transformed how these archetypes express in modern life. We now have caller ID, text messages, and doorbell cameras that let us screen visitors before engaging. Jung didn't experience these specific technologies, but his understanding of psychological adaptation suggests we create tools that help manage archetypal tensions. These technologies potentially allow both archetypes to be honored, the guardian through screening, the host through welcoming once prepared. Consider how differently you might feel about various unexpected visitors. A close friend feels less intrusive than a distant acquaintance. Someone bringing good news feels welcome regardless of timing. Someone selling something triggers stronger guardian reactions. These variations reveal the nuanced interplay between archetypes and context. The guardian and host adjust their influence based on multiple factors beyond mere scheduling. Jung believed that psychological growth involves bringing unconscious conflicts into conscious awareness. Many people react to unexpected visitors with automatic anxiety or resentment without understanding why. By recognizing the archetypal energies at play, you transform reflexive reaction into conscious response. You might still prefer scheduled visits, but from clear understanding rather than unconscious compulsion. The conflict between host and guardian often reveals where you stand on Jung's introversion-extroversion spectrum. Introverts typically feel the guardian archetype more strongly, while extroverts might more readily embody the host. Neither orientation is better. They represent different ways of directing psychological energy. Understanding your natural orientation helps you honor your authentic needs without judgment. Jung emphasized that psychological health involves flexibility rather than rigidity. The healthiest response to unexpected visitors isn't always the same. Sometimes the situation calls for embracing the host energy despite initial resistance. Other times, honoring your guardian protects necessary boundaries. Wisdom lies in discerning which response serves your wholeness in each specific circumstance. This archetypal tension extends beyond literal visitors to your relationship with new experiences generally. Are you someone who readily welcomes new ideas, opportunities, and experiences into your mental home? Or does your psychological guardian carefully screen what you allow to influence you? Jung would suggest that health involves neither excessive openness nor excessive rigidity, but conscious discernment. By understanding these archetypal patterns, you transform what might feel like personal failings into universal human experiences. Your discomfort with unexpected visitors isn't a character flaw. It's an expression of fundamental psychological dynamics that have shaped human interaction for millennia. This perspective brings self-compassion to what might otherwise be a source of shame. Your emotional reaction when someone shows up unexpectedly offers a perfect gateway to deeper self-understanding. Jung saw our strongest emotional responses as signposts pointing toward important psychological work. The intensity of your feelings when the doorbell rings unexpectedly reveals something valuable, not about your visitors but about yourself. This discomfort becomes a teacher when approached with curiosity rather than judgment. Jung developed the concept of the complex, a cluster of charged emotions around a specific theme. Your reaction to unexpected visits might reveal several potential complexes, perhaps around control, vulnerability, performance, or authenticity. By noticing exactly what triggers your strongest response, you gain clues about your unique psychological landscape. Is it the mess they might see, the interruption to your schedule, the need to suddenly shift into social mode? Each points to different aspects of your inner world. This approach transforms inconvenience into opportunity. Instead of merely enduring the discomfort of unexpected visits or avoiding them entirely, you can use these situations as powerful mirrors. Jung believed that psychological growth happens not by avoiding triggers, but by engaging with them consciously. Each doorbell ring becomes a chance to practice what Jung would call active imagination, engaging mindfully with your emotional responses to uncover their deeper meaning. Consider keeping what Jung might call a visitation journal, noting your specific thoughts, feelings, and body sensations when someone arrives unexpectedly. Patterns will emerge over time. Perhaps you notice anxiety centered in your stomach, thoughts about being judged for your housekeeping, or resentment about interrupted alone time. These patterns reveal your particular sensitivity points, what Jung might call your wounded areas, needing attention and integration. Jung emphasized that healing doesn't mean eliminating normal human reactions, but bringing them into conscious awareness. You might always feel some initial tension when someone arrives unexpectedly, but with practice, you can recognize this as information rather than a problem to fix. Ah, there's my control complex activating again, you might notice, creating space between stimulus and reaction. This awareness practice aligns with what Jung called individuation, the lifelong process of becoming your complete, authentic self. Unexpected visits highlight where you might be living according to others' expectations rather than your own truth. Do you feel compelled to welcome people despite genuine need for solitude? Do you judge yourself through imagined visitors' eyes rather than your own values? These realizations point toward greater authenticity. The goal isn't to eliminate boundaries, but to create conscious ones. Jung valued what he called the discriminating function, the ability to make clear distinctions and choices. Rather than automatically rejecting all unexpected visits from anxiety or accepting all from guilt, you develop nuanced discernment. Some visits might be declined with kindness, others might be welcomed despite initial resistance. The key is conscious choice rather than compulsive reaction. Consider experimenting with your comfort zone. Jung believed psychological growth requires periodically stretching beyond familiar patterns. If you typically refuse all unexpected visits, you might occasionally welcome one mindfully, noticing what arises. If you habitually accommodate everyone despite resentment, you might practice kindly declining. These experiments aren't about changing your preference, but about increasing your range of conscious response. Jung recognized that shadow material, the aspects of ourselves we've rejected or denied, often appears in our dreams. Similarly, your fantasies about unexpected visitors reveal shadow content. Do you imagine visitors judging your housekeeping? This might reveal projection of your inner critic. Do you envision them discovering private aspects of your life? This highlights fears around vulnerability. These fantasies, approached with curiosity, offer windows into your unconscious. The ultimate transformation involves what Jung called holding the tension of opposites. Rather than resolving the conflict between wanting connection and needing privacy, you learn to hold both as equally valid. This creates a third space where new possibilities emerge. Perhaps you develop visiting rituals that honor both needs, specific visiting hours, designated gathering spaces that maintain some privacy, or communication tools that prepare you for connection. Jung believed true psychological maturity involves moving from unconscious reaction to conscious response. Your initial reaction to unexpected visitors will likely always contain some automatic elements, but with practice, the space between trigger and response widens. In this space lies freedom and choice. The doorbell still rings unexpectedly, but your relationship to that experience transforms. This journey doesn't end with perfect comfort around unexpected visits. It leads to deeper self-knowledge that extends far beyond this specific situation. As you understand your reaction to boundary crossings in your home, you gain insight into your relationship with boundaries in all areas of life. Work relationships, romantic partnerships, and even your relationship with yourself all involve similar dynamics of connection and separation, vulnerability, and protection. By approaching your discomfort with unexpected visitors as a teacher rather than an enemy, you transform an everyday annoyance into a path of growth. Jung believed our greatest psychological development often comes through our most challenging experiences. The unexpected doorbell becomes not just an interruption to your day, but an invitation to greater wholeness, if you're willing to answer that deeper calling. Throughout our exploration of why you might feel that tension when others enter your personal space, we've uncovered something profound. This reaction isn't just about inconvenience or social anxiety. It's a meaningful signal from your deeper self about boundaries, authenticity, and psychological protection. Jung recognized that our strongest emotional responses often contain our greatest wisdom. That knot in your stomach when someone arrives unexpectedly isn't something to ignore or suppress. It's valuable information about your needs and boundaries. By listening to this response without judgment, you transform irritation into insight. Remember that this journey isn't about becoming someone who either welcomes everyone or refuses all connection. It's about conscious choice rather than automatic reaction. Some days, your psychological health might truly require solitude. Other times, connection might serve your growth despite initial resistance. Wisdom lies in discerning which serves your wholeness in each moment. Your home will always stand as more than just physical shelter. It's a container for your becoming, a space where your authentic self can emerge without performance or pretense. Protecting this container isn't selfish. It's necessary stewardship of your psychological development. Notice how your relationship with unexpected visits evolves as you bring greater awareness to it. The initial reaction might remain, but your relationship to that reaction transforms. What once felt like a personal failing becomes recognized as a natural guardian energy protecting something valuable. As you move through life with this deeper understanding, you might discover unexpected gifts. Boundaries set consciously create the conditions for more authentic connection when you do choose to welcome others. Recognizing your own needs helps you respect others' boundaries more sensitively. What began as exploration of a specific discomfort expands into greater relational wisdom across all areas of life. The next time your doorbell rings unexpectedly, pause for a moment. Notice your reaction with curiosity rather than judgment. In that space between stimulus and response lies your freedom and your path to greater self-knowledge. Your home is indeed sacred territory, not because of the furniture or decorations, but because it houses the ongoing work of becoming fully yourself.